Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now here in my hands, my Ruger Mini 14. Now there's no doubt that the Mini 14 has a little bit less modularity, a little bit less accessorizability than other rifles on the market. However, there are some definite quality options out there. If you look around, if you're savvy and you kind of get into it, you can definitely find some ways to accessorize and build more functionality into your Mini 14. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Now in a prior video, I used the factory pick rail on my Mini 14 to see how effective it was with optics, and it was actually really effective. It worked out very well, and even though given the fact that the Mini 14 has kind of that odd ejection port at the end of the day, it worked out great. But I wanted to continue to accessorize, I wanted to continue to experiment, and well, that's where this comes in. So this here, the G&G side mounted scope mount. This here is definitely an accessory that you can bolt on here. It's very simple. You do not need to be a smith to get this mounted up here. You just have to have basic mechanical skills. It goes very easy and gives me the ability now to test optics in a different way. But how effective will this be? Will it provide me with everything I need? Will it give me my ability to mount my optics? Well, there's only one way to figure that out, and that's to get into it. And so with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now again here, the GG&G side-mounted scope mount. The first thing I'm going to say that drew my attention to this particular mount, the fact that it's set back and it gives me the ability to maintain my iron sights. I thought that would be a fantastic advantage, where some of my optics, I did feel like I needed to get them a little further back, so when I mount the weapon, get that nice cheek weld, I had the ability to get on my sights the right way, but also seeing my iron sights I thought would be fantastic. Now this bolted up extremely easy. Unfortunately, due to YouTube and demonetization, I don't show you all of the steps, but I think if you're careful, you can kind of figure out how this needs to go. And so what we're going to do, we're going to turn the corner, get this thing all mounted up, hit the range, get some practical field use, and then I'll come back here and give you my final thoughts. And so now as we get into the GG&G side-mounted scope mount, you can see the original factory pick rail on my Mini 14. Again, a nice fit, obviously a factory fit, and very effective. But I wanted to continue to experiment and continue to accessorize. So here, the GG&G side-mounted scope mount. Now keep in mind, this will fit the Series 182 and newer Mini 14s. This will not fit the 180 or 181 series rifles. But here you can see just a beautifully made piece of equipment, well machined, well finished, and made in the USA. Now I can't show you all the mounting details, but again, you should be able to pretty much figure things out. I will simply read through the instructions to give you some ideas. First off, you will remove the barreled action from the stock per the factory instructions. You will remove the factory bolt lock cover plate from the receiver, making sure to keep the bolt lock assembly in the receiver after the cover plate is removed. Install the provided GG&G bolt lock cover plate into the receiver, making sure the bolt lock assembly fits under the new bolt lock cover plate. Reassemble the barreled action back into the stock per the factory instructions. You will align the scope mount with the hole in the bolt lock cover plate and install the mount onto the plate using the 1/4 inch by 28 button head cap screw and the provided 5/32 inch Allen wrench. Apply a small amount of the included blue non-permanent thread locker onto the screw and only thread lock the screw into the cover plate about 3 turns. Do not tighten completely at this time. Next, you will remove the 2 small locking set screws from the left side of the front and rear of the mount with the provided 5/64 inch Allen wrench. Set them aside to reuse. With the 5/64 inch Allen wrench, adjust the 2 elevation screws located at the top of the non-ejection port side of the mount. Adjust the screws down until they touch the front and rear of the receiver. Adjust the 2 elevation screws so the mount's mill standard 1913 rail sits level or parallel with the barrel. Tighten the 1/4 inch by 28 side mounting bolt to 30 to 35 inch-pounds. You may need to go back to the elevation screws and slightly adjust them again so they touch the receiver and the rail is parallel to the barrel. Reinstall the 2 side set screws with a small drop of blue non-permanent thread locker back into the side of the mount and set to 10 to 15 inch-pounds. Adjust the mill standard 1913 rail by loosening the 2 screws with the provided 9/64 inch wrench. Adjust the rail so it is straight and in line with the barrel and receiver. But now, it's time for the range. As you can see here, getting started at the range. Now keep in mind the fact that I used a number of different optics for this testing. First, you can see a standard open reflex dot. This isn't too bad. I'm getting on this sight fairly well, but it definitely sits high. I'm trying to get a cheek weld, but at the same time, I tend to want to raise my head higher and get more of a chin weld. You can see here, I'm getting on this with my chin. That's not quite right, but this is my natural tendency and my natural position as I get onto this. So you can see, even with a fairly low mounted open reflex sight, I am tending to wander up off of my cheek and onto my chin. And things even continue to get worse and worse as I get taller optics. Here you can see I'm switching from optic and sight to scope. And in almost every case, I am not able to get an appropriate cheek weld. I'm coming up onto my chin in order to even see the optic. So everything I thought was going to be an advantage, from the overall quality of the construction, the mountability, the fact that I can still get on my iron sights, it is literally all for nothing because I can't properly mount the weapon into my shoulder pocket and ultimately get a quality cheek weld. So in a very short amount of time and with minimal testing, I had to call this a failure. And so, all right, guys, there you have it, the field use with the GG&G side-mounted scope mount. This, to me, has, and I don't mean epic fail written all over it, but it really did not work at all. It sits so high that I can't get my cheek on the firearm. I need to absolutely shoot with my chin. And something that has enough recoil that it can be a little uncomfortable, well, 2 things. 1, it's uncomfortable, but 2, it's just not as steady as with that quality cheek weld. So it really did not work out very well at all. And that is very unfortunate because the build quality is there. It's a beautifully made piece. It bolts up wonderfully. It's good and stout. It gives me some flexibility. I can still get on my iron sights. It just didn't work and didn't work for me. So unfortunately, the GG&G side-mounted scope mount just doesn't quite work in my opinion. But again, the only way to figure these things out is to try. I hope you found that informative. If you're in the market for one of these, just take that into consideration. I mean, you saw the shooting footage. You saw how it was. It just is tough. It has to meet your shooting style and effectiveness. And if you're coming all the way up with your chin to get on your optics, that might not be the best, especially where you really want to be more on your cheek for good fundamentals. But that just comes with the territory. So much more to come with this Mini 14. That was just a day in the life, a little bit of experimentation, trying to figure out what works and doesn't work. Thank you guys for following along. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is more on my primary gear. On that channel, I cover everything from hiking, camping, and backpacking excursions, all the gear that goes with it. So from sleep systems, shelter systems, knives, axes, backpacks, flashlights, you name it, that's my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.